Good evening, Allahabad. This is Anu Agrawal from Sanchari, and this is our first session on which we will be talking about various communities and their contribution towards Allahabadi culture. Since Allahabad is made up of so many communities, सबने मिलके Allahabad को एक unique place बनाया. Good evening, Allahabad. This is Anu Agrawal from Sanchari, and this is our first session on which we will be talking about various communities and their contribution towards Allahabadi culture. Since Allahabad is made up of so many communities, सबने मिलके Allahabad को एक unique place बनाया. Good evening, Allahabad. This is Anu Agrawal from Sanchari, and this is our first session on which we will be talking about various communities and their contribution towards Allahabadi culture. Since Allahabad is made up of so many communities, सबने मिलके Allahabad को एक unique place बनाया. Good evening, Allahabad. This is Anu Agrawal from Sanchari, and this issue on that.
एप्पल हम ज़्यादा यूज़ किए नहीं है ना, इसको मिनिमाइज करिए. एप्पल तो ये होगा. मैम ऐसे आ जाइए, ये मिनिमाइज करके इसको जरा और कर दीजिए, मिनिमाइज कर दीजिए इसको.
ये है ना मिनिमाइज, तो यहाँ से हो जाएगा,
है ना. जूम चलाइए वापस,
जूम वापस.
यहाँ पे आ जाइए.
Okay, now I think we are live now. So to talk about various communities, this is our first, and we'll start with the Bengali communities. As we all know, Bengalis have a very deep-rooted presence in Allahabad, and today we have three very prominent, beautiful ladies with us who will be discussing about these communities and sharing with us various things. One, we have Aditi Chakravarti. She's an artist, lifestyle blogger, and an author. And she leads a citizen initiative in Lucknow that works towards conserving its heritage and environment. She belongs to Allahabad and a very proud Allahabadi. Wherever she is, she's still an Allahabadi. Hello, Aditi. How are you?
Hi. It's so nice to be in the middle of Allahabad.
Yes, the roots are here wherever you go. And then we have Mrs. Amrita Chatterjee. Everybody knows Amrita Di so well. She's been teaching in St. Joseph's College for the past 40 years and now retired. And recently she's moved to Chennai, although she's coming back for winters, which is a very good news. And she's enjoying her grandmotherhood the most, I believe. I keep seeing her posts on the Facebook. After retirement, she's enjoying being with the children and grandchildren. She's writing poetries these days, loves to cook and travel, and is helping young children in making academic choices after school. With these two lovely ladies, it's an honor to have Manju Auntie with us, Manjulika Banerjee. I'll just shift the camera for everybody to see. She's with us. She's taken out time to be with us. She's all of 85, but she's so excited to be here and talk about the Bengali community. They all are fabulous ladies, and you are going to have a good time now. I'll just ask Aditi to start the talk and just tell us about the Bengalis and their presence in Allahabad.
Yeah.
Aditi.
Yeah. Hi everybody. Manju Mashi, দেখতে পাচ্ছো তো আমায় আর শুনতে পাচ্ছো? Hello. Okay. Great to be in the middle of all this. There were some initial hitches, but do forgive everybody. I think it's one of the very first times, and so sorry about that. And I'm here in Lucknow. Amrita Di is all the way in Madras, in Chennai.
I know.
And anyway, so we are here to talk about the Bengalis in Allahabad. Now, I'm here in Lucknow, and when I was asked by Samina, Samina, let me tell you, is doing a wonderful job. Sanchari is doing a fabulous job by trying to highlight different things about Allahabad. And they've been doing it for, I think, something like, I'm not sure, maybe 4 or 5 years. And this is an initiative to bring forward the communities that have enriched the fabric of Allahabad. So thanks so much, Samina. I also need to, sorry, it shouldn't sound like the Academy Awards, but I do have to thank some people because it wasn't easy to do this research all the way from Lucknow in the middle of this, COVID and whatnot. So the first person I contacted, of course, was my sister, Uttara. And she is my heart. And she's a go-to person. Let me tell you, if you want anything, anyone in Allahabad, any contact, ask Uttara, and she'll put you in touch with the right people. Thank you, Vinudi. And Mohesh Chattopadhyay, who helped me out. And he's a proper encyclopedia on the Bengali community of Allahabad. Thank you so much, Mohesh. Then Shankar Chatterjee, if you're listening, Shankar, he gave me a priceless piece of an article which shed some light on the community, which was extremely interesting. Then Shantanu Mukherjee, who lives, I think, in Noida now, who helped out with many such personalities in Allahabad. And of course, Dr. Manas Mukuldas. He's a kind of also a living encyclopedia. Wonderful to have had all these people share their knowledge with me. Now, all of you have had Bengali friends all over, Durga Puja, this, that, and the other. There are some questions that come to your mind, that came to my mind, in fact, when I was asked to do this. It was, why did Bengalis come to Allahabad? And when did they come to Allahabad? So for this, I prepared a timeline for you to see. Excuse me if it gets a little boring because it is a timeline, but I think it sheds light on how and when the Bengalis arrived in Allahabad. So I shan't go to the beginning. What you see in bold, 1583, etc., is what happened in Allahabad. And to the left, you will find the different things that were happening in Calcutta and in Banaras in this time period. And so you come to 1765 when the Treaty of Allahabad was signed. You have to picture a time, this was the time when the East India Company had set up their base in Calcutta, and slowly, a very strong base, and slowly they were spreading out into the rest of India, establishing their bases. So they established this base in Allahabad. What happens is they open the doors of India to various missionaries, academics, who start pouring into India and opening educational institutions in Calcutta and in Bengal at first. And what happens is they are the ruling power. It is a very well thought out method of the British to introduce British curriculum, the English language into India. And Bengalis start to flock there, start to learn English, the British way of thought, and get educated in that fashion, in the fashion of the English. So what happens is when the English establish their base, say in a place like Allahabad, they open out, there are various vacancies that take place. The East India Company has horses, it has soldiers, and they then employ these Bengalis as their babus. You've heard the word Bengali babu? The original babu was the accountant who comes from Bengal to various parts of India to keep accounts. And they, of course, they work beautifully and they make very good subjects of the British, and they are rewarded by the British. This is one part of the Bengalis. Now, Shankar Chatterjee, he gave me an article, and which was fascinating. There was another set of Bengalis that arrived a little before that. They didn't have anything to do with the British. They had everything to do with the Bharadwaj ashram. So they make Bengalis have always loved to travel. Even today, you'll find them all over the place. They love to travel even then. So they take their boats from Calcutta. They take the route of the Ganga, and they come to Kashi, to Banaras. It's a big pilgrimage spot. You get moksha. If you die in Kashi, you get moksha. And if you live in Kashi, you also get moksha. Yeah. So these pilgrims, they go to Kashi, and on their way back, they have heard about Bharadwaj ashram. They stop in Allahabad. This is what Allahabad must have looked like. I found this beautiful etching. And you can see the fort in the background and these boats. These are the kind of boats that these Bengalis must have arrived in Daraganj, in Allahabad. That is where they disembarked like this, as you see now, and they find their way to the Bharadwaj ashram. And slowly they start to settle in and form this community of what got later known as Colonelganj. It really has very old origins, even before this East India Company arrived. So now the accountants, we come back to the accountants of the East India Company, which was a little later. And after talking to so many people in the Bengalis in Allahabad, there is only one family who was able to tell me, who I think was from this lot of people. And this was the family of Mr. Badal Chatterjee. I think all of you know him. He was the commissioner of Allahabad, a very forthright, very honest officer. And his grandfather's father used to work in the collectorate. And it was, the British had already made Allahabad their capital, etc. And he was a very good officer. He was in some, capacity working there. And as a reward, they handed him Katra, all of Katra. This is what the British did. To reward people who were loyal to them, they would hand them large tracts of land. And according to this article, the British, they gave large parts of, ranging from Katra right until Lukaganj, as what is called the Jayadata, as the reward. And his grandfather was given Katra. Grandfather's father, sorry, was given Katra. And this gentleman, it also goes to show the quality of people of that time. This gentleman, he thought over it, went back home, and he came back the next day and he said, look, in Allahabad, we always give daan. We do daan. We don't take things from people. So he rejected this offer, and that is the story of Katra and the rejection. So when Bengalis came, slowly, we'll go back to the timeline and I'll just show you quickly. So Allahabad is made capital and proclamation is read out 1858. 1861, Boys High School, then finally the Muir College is established, 1872. And prior to that, 1866, the High Court. And now these Bengalis, because they are really very educated and they all speak some English, some amount of English, they are hired and they are brought to Allahabad in various capacities. So going back to the general Bengalis, they settle in Colonelganj, they settle in Muthiganj, that's a very old area of the Bengalis, Atarsuya. Then later, in the later years, they come to Georgetown, a very important place. I'll show you a little map, which is very interesting, I think. This is a map from 1893. I'll just zoom in. So, can you see Colonelganj in this on the right? Can you see Colonelganj, Amrita Di?
Yes, of course. Yes, I can.
There is the government house, the new government house marked here, which is the medical
Medical college. That's the medical college right now.
But there's no Georgetown. Do you see on the right? There is no Georgetown yet. So I found another, this is from 1893, another map from 1924. And there is Georgetown, so prominent on the right.
Yeah.
And you see Government House, how close it is. It is right there. And there is Georgetown, where actually the elite, the people who were in academics, the people who were, the top lawyers, they were all given land in Georgetown and later Tagore Town. It doesn't show Tagore Town yet in this. I found this very interesting. So now Monjumashi, I'd like to bring Monjumashi in. Monjumashi, you have to tell us about your father. Monjumashi's father was principal of a school in Allahabad. And as young children, Monjumashi, you remember? You used to watch the Lat Sahib.
मैं हिंदी नहीं बोलती। हाँ हाँ मेरे पिताजी जीआईसी के प्रिंसिपल थे। हाँ और he was a very strict principal. He was known as cat principal because he used to put on cats. तो लड़कों को पता नहीं चलता था कि प्रिंसिपल साहब आ रहे हैं कि जा रहे हैं। तो they were very disciplined. उसके अलावा वो फ्री होम्योपैथिक दवाइयाँ देते थे on Mondays and Fridays. और he was a very strict स्वतंत्रता सेनानी। एक दो चक्कर जेल के भी चक्कर लग उनका प्रमोशन रुक गया क्योंकि उनको साहब ने कहा, किसी अंग्रेज ने, मुखर्जी तुम खादी छोड़ दो। तो ही रिप्लाइड, तुम मेरा देश छोड़ दो। तो naturally his promotion was stopped. GIC रहे ultimately inspector of schools बनारस तब एक जगह का एक इंस्पेक्टर नहीं होता था, 5 डिस्ट्रिक्ट मिला के एक इंस्पेक्टर होता था। Anyway, because of his homeopathy he was a very popular. और GIC के जो कोठी है अभी भी है, वो GIC के पास है, वॉकिंग डिस्टेंस, और ये ऑपोजिट टू मेडिकल कॉलेज, नाउ मेडिकल कॉलेज। पहले वो लाट साहब की कोठी कहलाती थी,
गवर्नमेंट हाउस। हाँ।
और लाट साहब की कोठी की एक हमारी बचपन की याद मुझे है कि आप लोग सुन के शायद हंसोगे कि दोपहर को 3:30 बजे एक आवाज आती थी चाय चाय की, तो पता चलता था कि भैंस की गाड़ी जा रही है। उसके बीच में एक बहुत बड़ा सा ड्रम होता था जिसमें सुलाख होती थी और पानी रहता था। वो पानी छिड़कता हुआ सड़क पे चला जाता था फ्रॉम लाउदर रोड क्रॉसिंग टू अब जो हनुमान मंदिर है उस क्रॉसिंग तक। और अच्छी बात तो ये है, दोनों तरफ केने का पेड़ था, जो ये पानी चारों तरफ से निकलती थी वो केने को भी सींच देती थी। और ये था कि उसके बाद 4 सवा 4 के बीच लाट साहब एक सफेद फीटन गाड़ी में करके घूमने निकलते थे। उस वक्त सड़क पर कोई नहीं होगा। हम लोगों को सख्त ये था कि जब लाट साहब की गाड़ी जाए कोई घर के बरामदे तक में नहीं जाएगा, लेकिन बचपन की आदत है, जाएगी नहीं। तो हम लोग हेज के पीछे, कोई बाउंड्री वॉल नहीं था उन दिनों में, किसी की कोई जरूरत नहीं, तो हम उसके पीछे छुपक के बैठ जाते थे लाट साहब को देखने के लिए। लाट साहब सफेद घोड़े वाली सफेद फिटन गाड़ी में विथ वाइट ड्रेस, वाइट कैप, एक लाठी होती थी हाथ में, वो भी वो उसके हाथी के दांत की, सफेद पकड़ के ठाठ के साथ बैठे थे। और हम लोगों को देखना है ही है, कितना भी मना हो, लेकिन हम लोग लाट साहब को जरूर देखेंगे। ये होता रहता था। और हमारे यहाँ पर रविंद्र साहित्य भाषण का बहुत बड़ा फंक्शन होता था, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ ग्राउंड बहुत बड़ा था। वहां पर बड़े बड़े आर्टिस्ट लोग कलकत्ता से, शांति निकेतन से सब आते थे। एक साल की बात है, उसमें टैगोर की ग्रैंड डॉटर आई, वो टैगोर की जन्म दिवस के उसमें था। तो टैगोर की ग्रैंड डॉटर ने, हमारे घर में रिहर्सल होता था और ग्रैंड डॉटर टैगोर के घर का एक पुराना ऑर्गन वहां पर आया था। वो बाद में जॉर्ज बैनर्जी के घर में ही रहता था। आज पता नहीं कहाँ है वो बहुत दिनों तक वहीं था। उसको बजा के, टैगोर की ग्रैंड डॉटर थी नंदिता कृपलानी, वो सुचेता कृपलानी की देवरानी भी थी। सुचेता कृपलानी अपने यूपी की गवर्नर रह चुकी थी। तो उन्होंने हम लोगों को गाना भी सिखाया, ओपनिंग सॉन्ग भी हम लोगों से गवाया। तो वो सब बड़े पुराने मधुर यादें रह गई हैं। और तुम अभी कुछ और अगर पूछना चाहो तो मुझे तो इतना, लेकिन ये जरूर है कि हमारे पिताजी वो होम्योपैथी देके ही बिकेम सो पॉपुलर। तब होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल कॉलेज भी नहीं खुला था। जब होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल कॉलेज खुला, he was asked to become the first #1 homeopath to be registered. My father refused. बोले मैंने कोई कॉलेज अटेंड किया नहीं है, हमारे पास कोई परीक्षा पत्र है नहीं, तो मैं रजिस्ट्री नहीं करूंगा, मैं किसी को मेडिकल सर्टिफिकेट भी नहीं दूंगा। मेरा शौक है दुखी को सुख देना, आराम देना, मैं फ्री दवाई देता हूँ, देता रहूंगा। यही उनकी मोटो थी।
मंजू मासी, हम आपको थोड़ी देर, जरा और देर बाद में आपको बुलाएंगे वापस।
ओके,
ठीक है, तो हम कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं फिर। हाँ, ओके। तो दैट वाज ग्रेट। इट इज, इतना अच्छा लगता है ये सब सुन के, बिकॉज मंजू मासी ने तो ये सब चीज देखा हुआ है। सो यू नो, इट इज वंडरफुल टू हैव हर हियर टू रिकाउंट हर टेल्स।
Very vividly done.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So now we come to the Bengalis who arrived after Muir College and the High Court was built. So 1872, Muir College was constructed and built, and for that there were 6 teachers that were hired. One of them was Aditya Ram Bhattacharya. Now he was a great scholar of Sanskrit in Calcutta. Already everybody in Bengal and in Calcutta knew him, and his reputation was very, very powerful. And so he was invited to join Muir College in Allahabad, and he becomes professor of Sanskrit. Now the interesting thing is that Madan Mohan Malviya was his student at Muir College. And then when he floats the idea of Banaras Hindu University in Banaras, Aditya Ram Bhattacharya is very supportive, and out of his own money that he has saved from his own bank, he gives him a sum of 5 lakhs of rupees at that time. You know, this is way back in 1873-74. And later, of course, BHU was built. It was a huge amount of money. So his contribution is recognized by the Banaras Hindu University today. Now, when Muir College was being built, there was another very interesting personality who Manas Mukuldas told me about. It was this, and he gave me a very, very interesting picture, a very rare picture that he has himself, Manas Mukuldas had. This is of the university under construction. This is the English department that is under construction. This was given to him by, again, a unique personality. He was Bijun Bihari Chakravarti. Bijun Bihari Chakravarti was the supervisor of the construction of this university. And he was an ordinary BA, a graduate, but he was very trusted and a very, very honest person. So he moved to Allahabad and he supervised the entire construction, first of Muir College and then the Allahabad University. And he was given the, this picture was taken during his time and given to his, handed over to his grandson, Ajay Chakravarti, who was, I believe, Excuse me, I think that's our dog really barking outside. Sorry, can you hear him? I don't know. Sorry about that. So, Geetika just gone to check on that. This picture belonged to Ajay Chakravarti, who shared it with Manas Mukuldas. And I think it's a very unique picture of Allahabad University under construction. Then there is another interesting personality, Ramanand Chatterjee, who is the principal of KP College, brought in as principal of KP College in the year 1895. Again, he is a great academician of English, and he comes in, joins the KP Inter College. There's a lovely picture of him that I found. To your left is Ramanand Chatterjee, and to the right is Rabindranath Tagore. Now, this connection, of course, they were all from Calcutta, and the connection is very interesting. He brought out, Ramanand Chatterjee, when he came to Allahabad, he brought out this phenomenal journal in the Bengali language called the Pravasi. Maybe Manjumashi knows it, I don't know. It was called the Probashi. And the other journal that was in English was the Modern Review. He is called the father of journalism in India, Ramanand Chatterjee. And the reason is, of course, that at that time, to transmit information across India to people about the arts, about literature, about music, it was Modern Review and Pravasi that disseminated this information. So, you know, Raja Ravi Verma, etc., who become so fashionable and famous later, Ramanand Chatterjee is the one who promoted them in India. The rest of India came to know about these. And again, he was also a Swadeshi, and he would write also against the British at that time. And because of this, he was kind of forced to give up Allahabad, to leave Allahabad. And he returned to Bengal. In fact, the British told him that you either stop writing, you have to stop writing the Pravasi. He refused. He said, I'll continue to write Pravasi. I'll resign from my post. He resigned and went back to Calcutta and continued to write the Pravasi. So a great, great personality. We don't know too much about these people. That's why I found them and I'm kind of sharing them. They contributed to the fabric, not just of Allahabad, but of India. Now here, I'd just like to tell you that in Allahabad, there have been so many eminent people. One is more eminent than the other, but the time constraints, you know, we have about 40 minutes to talk. It is impossible to tell you about them all. So I have tried to pick a few people, and I ask your forgiveness if I have left people out. It is only because there has not been enough time. That is why. This is not to say that they were any less eminent. Now we come to the judiciary. There was a remarkable person. His name was Bidhu Bhushan Malik, who was the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court. And he was a friend of Nehru. And in 1963, when Kenya got independence, Bidhu Bhushan Malik is the person who drafted the Constitution of Kenya. It's a remarkable feature which every Indian should be proud about, because here is an Indian and he is drafting the constitution of a foreign country, which is remarkable. And then in 1968, when Mauritius got independence, Bidhu Bhushan Malik helped draft the constitution of Mauritius as well. So by all means, when you visit these countries, please be proud. So then we come to doctors. Again, Dr. Manas Mukuldas told me about this remarkable lady. She was the very first Indian woman to get an FRCS. And she was Dr. Satyapriya Majumdar. Apparently, she had her clinic on Stanley Road between 1910 and the 1940s, and was a remarkable woman. Then, you know, I have to bring in my father, Dr. J.B. Banerjee here, Jyoti Bhushan Banerjee. He was a private medical practitioner, but his contribution has been tremendous towards the field of the physically challenged. He has given to India some remarkable devices made out of very simple bamboo that act as support, that act as brace. Then the bamboo wheelchair, for which he won the President's Award. Then another little fact, which maybe you don't know, when Hathi Park was designed, I don't know if some of you remember how beautiful it was when it was first designed. It was like a Japanese garden. It was Dr. J.D. Banerjee who designed the Hathi Park and later the traffic park. I don't know in what form it is now, the Hathi Park, but when it was designed, it was him. Then we come to, again, some amazing personalities who were businessmen, but they owned printing presses. Allahabad is nothing without these people, amazing people. The very first and the most important, I would say, was Chintamani Ghosh. And along with the Indian press, yes, there's a picture of Indian press I have for you. Here is the Indian press. I think all of you may have already seen it in passing, but this is a remarkable press. Please take a look at it again. And the reason is that Chintamani Ghosh, of course, was a self-made man, and he bought a second-hand. He used to work for the Pioneer, and on a very low level. And he buys a second-hand printing machine, and physically, he holds a full-time job with some government department. And at night, through the night, he prints. And his printing is of very fine quality. And he, along with Ramanand Chatterjee, who I told you earlier about, he was the editor and Chintamani Ghosh was the printer. Together they bring out the Pravasi and the Modern Review. For the Pravasi, all possible, this is a beautiful picture of the house, the house of that Chintamani Ghosh built. It's a remarkable structure. It's a heritage structure. Very few buildings of its kind left in Allahabad. So please take a look, and I'm sure you can go there for hopefully a private tour if they can organize it, if Sanchari can organize it. Now, Tagore used to write for Pravasi, and he was so impressed by the principles of that he takes. Tagore was the only Nobel Prize winner from India for literature. And when he wrote the Gitanjali, he took all his books and he said, Indian press is going to print all my books. And so Chintamani Ghosh is the person who printed most of Tagore's books in Allahabad at Indian Press. And so again, a remarkable, and including the Gitanjali, which was printed here. Then the second person, everybody has seen A.H. Wheeler Company. All of us have traveled, taken the train, stopped in railway stations across India, and always headed to the bookshop, A.H. Wheeler and Company. Here it is in a railway station. So this chain of bookshops, of course, started by Émile Moreau and a Frenchman, but when he left India in 1937, he gave Tinpuri Banerjee, sorry, I didn't even tell you the name. His name was Tinpuri Banerjee, and he used to work with them. And again, a very honest worker, very honest officer. First, he became partner. And then when Moreau left India, all his shares he gave to Tinpuri Bandyopadhyay. And that is how Tinpuri became full-fledged owner of A.H. Wheeler and Company, this chain of bookshops in India. So again, remarkable contribution. And of course, I believe the A.H. Wheeler, the original building of their offices has been now pulled down, which is really sad. These are all historic buildings, but it's not there anymore. So the third person, I don't know, Junidi, are you listening? So this is, of course, Shitindra Mohan Mitra, who built Maya Press. Again, a self-made man. Now, this is here is Shitendra Mohan Mitra. Thank you, Junidi, for these pictures. A lovely picture. A self-made man, and he moves to Muttiganj. His wife, she lived in a home in Muttiganj, and he moves there. And along with his brother-in-law, he builds Maya Press in Muttiganj. Again, look at the hard work. It is again a second-hand machine, and he and his brother-in-law work through the night and printing themselves. And these were all hand printing machines. And he prints the first set of books. Then in the morning, he carries them on his head. This is what Junidi told me. And he goes from house to house selling these books. And the rest is history. They were a remarkable press. And they, Manorama, then Mayapuri, Probe, which was the English magazine, and of course Maya. All this was published by it. And here is their house in full bloom. It was a beautiful house. Again, I think it is not there anymore. This was the home. Then, so the contribution, of course, is amazing. Now, I think, Amrita Di, why don't you tell us a little bit about your father's side of the family? They are incidentally also related to my husband's side. So why don't you tell us a little? It's a very good reflection of the kind of people there were at that time.
Yeah, that is true. My family in Allahabad, my father's father, grandfather, that wing of the family that you have a picture of right there. So that family came from Sultanpur to Allahabad. That was Madhusudan Mukherjee. And before that, they came from, of course, Bandel in West Bengal. And Madhusudan Mukherjee, that is my great-grandfather, he had one son, that is Abhay Charan Mukherjee. And he was educated in Lucknow by his mother took him there, and he received his education in Lucknow, and he got the gold medal for his master's from Lucknow University in English literature. And thereafter, he came from the education services to Muir Central College and became a professor there. So what I know about this family of mine is primarily that education was a very strong focal point for the entire family. That all parts of that family was deeply entrenched into education, and that went down through the rest of the members of that family. So nobody went into business in our family. They were either doctors, lawyers, or they went to the civil services. And that continued. My cousins, Diptima, went into teaching at the university. She was a teacher of economics at the Allahabad University. And the other sister, Otima Mukherjee, who later became Otima Bodia, she went into the civil services. Now, in 1910, my grandfather built the house that you see on Lauder Road, and that is still standing there, 24 Lauder Road, opposite Dr. Jagat Narayan's clinic. His wife was married at the age of 13 to Abhay Charan, who was my grandfather, and they had 11 children. My grandmother not only came herself, but she came with a whole zoo along with her. She had peacocks, she had rabbits, she had monkeys, and she was extremely fond of pets. And that entire zoo of hers was placed happily at the side of the house, where later on there became an orchard of guavas. And when Abhay Charan's eldest son got married, oh, by the way, my grandfather wrote a book on the fasts and feasts of India, of not India, basically Hindu India, of the Hindus. And this was written in 1916, and it was published by the Indian press in 1918. And that book is still there. It is in the Nehru Museum. It is in the archives of the National Library in Delhi. It's all over the place, and you can even get it today through Amazon if you so wish. And other than that, also he was a writer of poetry, and one of his earliest poems is about the Bharadwaj Ashram that I have read. Then his eldest son, Justice Vasudev Mukherjee, was married to your husband's Bua, Pishi, and she came in at the age of 15 into the family. And her father-in-law, which is again a very interesting fact, that he took such pride in educating his daughter-in-law, his first daughter-in-law. And he got tutors from all over to teach her Farsi, to teach her English, to teach her whatever her heart desired. And can you imagine, she was so young, she came with all her dolls to the house. So this was the kind of world that I think the Bengalis at that time had created in Allahabad. They were pretty emancipated, apart from being educated. I think much more emancipated than the Bengalis of Kolkata at that time,
Right.
on many fronts, on many fronts.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely, as Amritadi says, you know, the kind of people, and you know, there was also this I have to bring this in, you know, an element of beauty, the appreciation of what was beautiful. You will find Dr.
In the gardens of
Yes, something to do with Bengali doctors and gardens. They all had beautiful gardens. And, you know, I remember my own father's garden, which was like a little paradise. And then Dr. Milon Mukherjee, Dr. A.K. Mukherjee, Dr. Nyogi,
Dr. S.K. Mukherjee, yes.
Anilesh Mukherjee.
No, Anilesh and S.K. Mukherjee, Dr. S.K. Mukherjee also.
Yes, also, all of them. You know, there's something to do with beauty and Bengali doctors. Others also, of course, in Allahabad, but you know, there was something to do with that. So this idea of beauty, and if you see the gardens of that time, unfortunately, there are not enough pictures. They were of a different standard, of a different scale, and which was so beautiful. I just wanted to bring that in. Now, one other person that I find is a very interesting personality, like Monju Mashi's father, my own maternal grandfather, Suhrit Chandra Chaudhary. He came, again, his home was in Bangladesh originally, meaning East Bengal. And he came here to Allahabad as a teacher at Colonelganj Inter College. And it was only up to class 8 then. Here he is on the right, Suhrit Chandra Chaudhary. And you can see this is the attire that he wore all his life, like quite a few Bengalis of the time. He would wear his kurta, a dhoti, and he would walk with his stick with big strides and walk to the school and back. So with his efforts, Colonelganj becomes first a high school and then an inter-college. Of course, with complete support from the Bengali community, Chintamani Ghosh, many people supported him in his effort, but he built it. And you know, today when this whole thing of midday meal, we talk about it all the time, nourishment for children in a country which is so poor. At that time, a lot of the students of Colonelganj Inter College were from very poor backgrounds. So my grandfather, he started this thing. My mother used to say that it was always soaked chana, ankurit chana, mumfali, or kela. Imagine the kind of nutrition at that time that was being given every single day to the children. So he was a remarkable man, Suri Chandra Chaudhary. And he was always known as Headmaster Moshai because he remained headmaster, and when he retired, he continued to serve the school right till his death. That was him. One other remarkable personality, very important, again, all of Allahabad and India should be proud of him. That was Dr. Neel Ratan Dhar. He was professor of chemistry, and he got his education all over, first in Calcutta, and thereafter he went to London to do his PhD, thereafter to Paris to do another PhD. So his dissertation was in English, and thereafter in Sorbonne, he joined Sorbonne, and he gets the state doctorate where you have to do your presentation in the French language. This is the caliber of people of that time. And then from there, he joined the Indian Education Service. Remember, it was the British period, and they had Indian Education Service, like the civil service. He joins it, and he is given a choice of universities. There were 5 at that time in India: Calcutta, Lahore, Madras, Bombay, and Allahabad. He chooses Allahabad and comes here to join the chemistry department as professor of chemistry. And his research, apparently, of course, because he was already such a big scholar across the world, his research in soil sciences was tremendous. He was nominated for the Nobel, but I was told by Dr. Manas Mukuldas, whose wife shared, Dr. Dhar's wife shared it with him, that his study was something to do with soil becoming enriched with organic matter more than chemical matter, which is when the fertilizer lobby of the big fertilizer companies, they pressurized the Nobel Committee, and his name was slowly removed, quietly removed from that name of Nobel winners. However, he remained on the Nobel Committee. So year after year, he was invited to Sweden to be on the committee to nominate the Nobel Prize winner every year of chemistry. Now, interesting fact, he was a miser. Apparently, his overcoat, Dr. Mukuldas says, somebody had counted, there were 65 patches, tappi, on his overcoat. He wouldn't change it. He would go to the vegetable market and he would bargain with vegetable vendors in, you know, this heavy Bengali accent. Humko ye deta hai, tum ye kam karke dega, humko, you know, things like that. And he was also paid money, first class fare, to come to Delhi on his way to Sweden. He would take that fare, but he would travel third class and save that money. And where was this saving going to? He gave all this money that he saved to cancer research. His first wife, Sheila Dhar, she died of cancer, and he gave it to cancer research, I think something like a sum of 4 or 5 lakhs or something. And he also built the Soil Sciences Institute, and he built it himself with his own money. And of course, now it belongs to, where did you say it was, Amrita Di?
I think in Mumford Ganj, that is where it is. Sheila Dhar Institute. It is named after his wife.
Right, okay. So of course, it's a phenomenal sum of money. For that time, you know, a sum of 4 lakhs is a huge amount of money, and he gave it all. And this went to cancer research, and there were other amounts that went to different types of research. So this is the kind of person that he was. And then the absolute formidable Meghnad Shaha. He taught at Allahabad University. He didn't belong to Allahabad, but he came from Calcutta. He was a physicist. And he, of course, joined Allahabad University, and absolutely formidable. And apparently there is, in astrophysics, there is the Saha equation that is used. And it was an equation that was devised by him. And everybody in the world of physics knows Meghnad Shaha.
Yes. Aditi, would you say that most Bengalis who traveled out of Bengal, particularly in Allahabad, as I noticed from your talk, education or factors related to education, fields related to education, were the most, filled with Bengalis. Am I right in thinking that?
Absolutely. No, I think you're right, Amrita Di. Also,
Even doctors, I mean, it's education. It is the process of getting educated or becoming educated that attracted the Bengalis the most.
yes, absolutely. And it was like a different kind of a time as well. And of course, having said that, you have people like Chintamani Ghosh and
No, but again, it is all to do with learning because see, they printed, they published. It's all to do with letters, They were men of letters.
men of letters, absolutely, and of very of such a high caliber. It's very hard to imagine that kind of caliber
And
today.
dedication, commitment, integrity. There were so many, qualities, values involved here.
Now, on a lighter note, we will come to Manju Mashi in a little bit. One other person I should mention, that is Dakina Ranjan Mukherjee, who was a professor of zoology at Allahabad University and later became the vice chancellor at university. He was the Dakina Ranjan. We have a music conference.
Ranjan Bhattacharya.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Dakina Ranjan Bhattacharya. I beg your pardon. I'm talking too much. I'm getting mixed up. So
Allahabad was known as east of Oxford.
East of
Oxford.
yes,
Oxford of the East, yeah. Oxford of the East.
Everybody from east, from Calcutta was at that time the capital of India, and people used to come over to Allahabad. It was the education center.
because of the university, absolutely. The university of a very high caliber. He introduced, which is very special, he introduced the music conference of Allahabad. This is 1939, which is the 8th year of the music conference. So it started in 1931. And the finest musicians of that time, right from Alauddin Khan, who was a very good friend of Dakina Ranjan Babu. He then, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, Vilayat Khan, Ravish, they were all very young little boys. All of them came to Allahabad to perform. And the conference used to begin in the evening and carry on till 4 a.m. in the morning. And it is from this that I was told later, I wrote about the home of Monomotho Ghosh of Calcutta. When he visited Allahabad and attended one of the music conferences, he was so impressed by this conference that he went back to Calcutta and he started the Calcutta Music Conference as well. So this is very old and very unique and also very interesting. My mother used to say, I don't know, Manju Mashi, agar aap logon ne bhi ye kiya ki nahi. Dakina Babu was a very good friend of my maternal grandfather and grandmother. And he would say, all these young girls, my mother, my masis, they were very young girls. And he would say that ये music conference होता था, वो इन लोगों को बुलाते थे कि तुम लोग ushers बन के आओगे यहाँ. तो ये सारी लड़कियां खूब अच्छे से तैयार होके साड़ी वाड़ी पहन के, they would be ushers in the music conference. And like you were just saying, Amrita Di, when you hear of this, how much emancipation there was among women, that they were there ushering people. It's such a modern concept, but it was there. So,
yeah, there was no cloistering of young women at all in the Bengali community. And that is something that goes back even to the legal system that the Bengalis adopted. The Daya Bhag law, there are two laws that governed property and land. One was the Mitakshara and one was the Daya Bhag. And the Bengalis were the only community that followed the Daya Bhag law, where women had absolutely the same rights as their male counterparts in inheritance.
yeah, but
Not in the Mitakshara. It went directly to the sons.
yeah. And now, Manju Mashi, to ask you, we were talking about music. There was a women's association, a Bengali women's association, the Prima Shon Miloni. Can you, आप जरा बताइए वो कैसे शुरू हुआ?
वो ये टेकोर सॉन्ग गाया करते थे लोग, So people used to get together to hear the music. These singers from Calcutta and Shantiniketan, they used to come over Allahabad. And there they used to sit. And that is how this Rabindra Sahitya Bashar was organized. So every, on Tagore's birthday and death anniversary, there used to be, this is how the Tagore song was, I think it was introduced in Allahabad so properly. Allahabad has very, very good Tagore song musicians.
Right. Acha, na Manju Masi, tell us about the Purnima Shonmiloni.
Purnima Shonmiloni was it was a very interesting story. My mother-in-law and one was Hena Kakima, I used to call her. So, and one was PWD engineer's wife, some Dash Gupta. They were all sitting in a lawn in a month of May and talking and having ice cream and all these things. That was homemade ice cream. So they were very happy, and then they said, why don't you call Menna? There was another friend of them. But this is moonlit night, we are enjoying having gupsup this time. Then they said, all right, from now on every Purnamashi day, we will get together. We will have pan and pani and nothing else. So this is how it was started. My mother-in-law was the first secretary, and then they used to stage drama. My mother-in-law was a great writer, also poet also. So she used to write the drama, and that was staged in our house. And the male were not allowed. But on the 15th of April, Poila Boishak, then they used to dress, the ladies used to dress like men, and they used to act, and that day their husbands were all invited.
Oh,
And that day, damalu and kachori was served.
Yeah.
Without food, Bengali can't live.
I know, no, absolutely, absolutely. So,
How it started, but that was a very nice thing, the pan and pani, nothing else. So that everybody can join, everybody can participate. And then they used to, somebody used to sing, somebody used to dance. They were not old that time. Then they used to act something. Then this Mrs. Hena Kakima, I'm saying, she was related to Tagore's family, and she knew Sanchayita by heart. One day that meeting was at my place. So somebody said, Hena, তুমি অনেক দিন সঞ্চয়িতা বলনি, মানে you haven't recited Sanchayita for a long time. She said, all right, Manju, give me the Sanchayita if you have. I brought it, and she opened a page and she started on and on. She has by heart, any page you open, she will talk.
amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Bengalis, of course, took their art and culture everywhere. And you know, the Durga Puja that you...
After my marriage, that was the first Purnima Shonmiloni meeting at our place. So my sister-in-law said, everybody is coming, let us prepare pantua and samosa at home. So we served, and you know, Mednadi and others, they said, no, this is not done. Your mother-in-law has made the rule that there will be only pan and paniyo. And how come that you have served this? Our Mennadi, Geeta Ghatok's mother.
Mother, yes.
Geeta Ghatok's mother, Mennadi. She was very dynamic lady. So she said, look at this, the face of this girl, how sad she is. Don't throw them away. We will all eat. Give me. I will eat 2 plates of it. So that is how they used to encourage us.
Right.
And that was and then it because I don't know whether it is still on or not. But we celebrated 75th anniversary of Purnima Sharmilani.
On and off, Purnima Sharmilani still, I think, meets.
Yeah, yeah. My sister is
I don't know.
a big, yeah, she tries to keep it alive along with some of the other ladies. Yeah, it's a losing battle, but they are trying hard to keep it going, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
No, lately what has happened, the Purnima Sharmilani became a eating place. They have prepared 3 items. The next time when it is at my place, I will prepare 5 items. So I protested. I said, this was not the rule of the Purnima Sharmilani. So I quit. When I quit, your mother also quit. Then was another Purnima Banerjee. She said, I also quit.
Oh, my mother. Okay. Acha, acha. Okay.
They said, this is a nice point, we quit.
Oh.
Manju Mashi, ask Manju Mashi, does she remember anything about Indu Babu's family? That was another great family of Allahabad.
This is it. When you are saying about Indu Babu's family, Indu Babu's great-grandfather was Abhinash Banerjee. He got Calcutta's a big honor, Raichand Premchand. You know probably something like very Padma Shri or so.
Yeah.
On those days, in 18 something, he got 1 lakh.
Hmm.
So he said, I must contribute it to somebody so now at the Hewitt Road, you must have noticed Indian Girls High School. He got it done that. He said, there is no place for the girls to read. So Indian Girls School became the first girls, exclusively for girls school.
Where Kuidi taught all her life.
Kuidi used to taught there. Yeah, right.
Acha, yeah, which reminds me, there was Shirish Basu as well, and his brother Baman Basu. They were also instrumental in the Indian Girls School as well as the Jagat Taran. Do you remember? Aapko yaad hai kuch, Manju Mashi?
I had gone there in Jagat Taran when my father came after transfer. So Jagat Taran was the first choice. But the principal was a little hard. And my father was also a principal. So both the principals, they couldn't tally. So, so then we go to CrossFit. Miss Pavaya was the principal of that CrossFit. She just lumped. All right, all the 3 daughters will be at my place. All of us. And she used to come to our place, Miss Pavaya. I think she was a Parsi lady. She used to come and ask my mother, put me some alta on my. She will put alta, she will put a bindi, then she'll give me some chachadi.
Oh, acha. How nice. You know, this gentleman we were talking about, Shirish Basu, and there's a road named after him. Again, a great scholar of both Sanskrit and English, and his brother Baman Basu, both of them. Now, Jagat Taran was apparently set up by Shirish Basu, named after his sister and brother-in-law. Look at the kind of devotion. Jagat,
right.
I believe, was the two. And the books, the number of books that they had translated, all the texts of the Gita, the Ved, Upanishads. Everything had been translated into English by these two brothers. And the Basu Kaksh of the Hindi Sahitya Sammelan, when he died, he donated something like 5,000 books to the Hindi Sahitya Sammelan. So there is a Basu Kaksh. Agar aap log koi jaye wahan Hindi Sahitya Sammelan, wahan pe Basu Kaksh hai. And this is this Baman Basu, who was a great scholar again. So I think with this, we must wind up. Otherwise, we can carry on and on. Sorry. Yeah. One little thing, a quick thing that I'll show you, which before I forget, it was Sir Lal Gopal Mukherjee.
Right. I was thinking that you mentioned Lal Gopal Mukherjee.
Yes. So both Sir Lal Gopal Mukherjee, here he is, I'll show you. Very handsome man. I think a lot of you must have gone to his daughter-in-law's painting classes. She was Rama Mukherjee, and
Yes.
she used to do batik and she used to teach painting. Very, very artistic lady. And she was his daughter-in-law.
Elder daughter-in-law.
Magnificent that he had on Thornhill Road. And he was, of course, was knighted. He was Sir Lal Gopal Mukherjee, a very, very eminent lawyer of Allahabad. And he got the knighthood. I'll show you the medal. Many of us may not have seen, you know, what they got as a medal, as a knight. Here it is. You can see the sword.
Or
And-
I will like to mention
Yes.
the style of people's living and donation during Durga Puja. My father-in-law was a reputed doctor of Allahabad.
Yes.
Dr. Robi Banerjee, everybody knows Dr. Robi Banerjee. So his contribution was to ask, especially at the Indian Girls School, there used to be one Durga Puja.
Yes.
During the Durga Puja, people, Durga Ma ko sari chadhate. So he said, whatever is given to Pandit ji, give it to him, his share. There are lots and lots and lots of saris. Wrap them 2 saris or 4 saris in a bundle, and the doctors, they know who is a needy family, who requires, there were very poor family. Just go, knock the door and just give the packet and go away. Don't say from where you are coming, why you are coming, nothing. But these things have all eloped. That was a tradition. Let's look how nice it was. Once I tried in my best at one Durga Puja. Then I found that it was very hard to fight with other people. So I said, he said, my husband said, why are you bothering? Whatever your father-in-law has done and done. Now don't you?
Yes. So, you know, like I said, such remarkable people, Justice Amitav Banerjee himself,
This thinking,
Dr. Nyogi,
thinking
Dr.
of the people.
Dr. Shur, Dr. Nyogi. I mean, they're just innumerable people like this.
So many people. And
Dr. Bimal Chaudhary, he was known as the Messiah of the poor.
who?
Dr. Bimal Chaudhary.
Yes.
Yes. His son today, Dr. Bimal Chaudhary and his son. Even today, his son has dedicated his
Oh, his
medical
son is-
practice
His son is a god in the
in Haridwar.
And
He's regarded as a god.
whoever gets ill, just call Babu. Just call Babu. Babu is the god.
So I think let's wind up today, because we ourselves are having a tremendous time talking about people. We should carry this on ourselves, I think. All the Bengalis of Allahabad. So thanks so much, Samina. I don't know where Samina is. Or Anu. Are they there?
Anu might be there.
Okay. So I think we'll call off now.
Oh.
So let's just sign off. Bye. Thanks so much. for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aditi, for enlightening us to such a huge extent. And Monju Mashi for being the venerable Grand Lady of Allahabad in our midst.
Amrita, I waited for you the whole of August. You have said that you will come.
And we are waiting for
I
you.
know, but I was scared because of the corona, and I was dealing with so many people shifting my residence that I did not want to, by chance also, you know, bring infection to your house.
Yes, Kaveri told me this is probably the cause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Acha, thank you, Aditi. Nice.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Anu, very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sanchari.
Like is feeling obliged that आप लोगों ने सबने इतना हम लोगों को enlighten किया. With this community, everybody knows like Bengali. When you talk about Bengalis, you talk about intellect you talk about knowledge, you talk about beauty, everything. And a big thank you to you all for not speaking in Bengali, because ye ek trait hai Bengalis ka ki wherever they are, and if it's a room full of too many people, wherever they are, they just start talking in Bengali, something happens.
अंग्रेजी कायदा हम लोग ने सीख लिया है over the years
We are all born and brought up in UP.
in UP, so इसीलिए हम लोग 3-4 भाषा तो जानते ही हैं.
बिल्कुल. But
Okay.
thank you so much, and with this we sign off with this session, and
Acha.
very soon we will come back again with another community and a prominent community, and we'll be talking to another prominent people like these. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.